Well, hello guys, and welcome once again to Whitebeard's Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to make a wee favourite Asian dish of mine, Kung Pao Chicken. You know, there's all different sorts of additions to this, so this is kind of my version. I'm very inspired, and I'll give them a wee plug by Jeremy from the School of Walk and some of his understudies. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to not necessarily carry out his exact recipe or anybody's exact recipe, but what I'm going to do is just mention some of the veg and some of the stuff that's going to go into it. So first of all, what I'm going to do is, these are very small garlic cloves. Now, I would probably use, maybe if they were good sized, I'd maybe only use about 4. I'm going to use, well, they're not bad, I'm going to use maybe about 6 garlic cloves. People like using garlic crushes. As I say, mine is made for a fucking leprechaun, so we're not going to bother with that. I just have the simple method of giving it a bit of a bash, or cutting the root off and then just peeling the skin. I'm going to show you how to do one. I'm not going to bore you to death, so I'm going to use my wee little trusty favourite serrated knife. So as you can see here, probably about 5 reasonably sized garlic cloves. So I'll take one of the larger ones. So I usually can either just maybe give it a wee cut just at the root, take that wee bit off, and really then you can just peel the skin back. And the skin really has nothing to hang on to. And there's other versions. You can dip the garlic cloves, let them sit in kind of warmish water for a few minutes. That's another easier method. Some people, you know, I can just give it a bash with the palm of my hand. As you can see, that's one there, a different one that I've obviously cracked open. Again, skin, different ways of taking it off. So that's just one. So the garlic cloves you want to have relatively fine. So I'll take the one here that I have just peeled back and just show you this. So the old Gordon Ramsay method, but not Gordon taught me this, but I've taught myself, but Gordon totally approves. You want to finely chop it, so 1 finger forward, 2 fingers back, and just be very careful. Slice it as thinly as you possibly can get it, obviously without cutting your digits off, leaving yourself absolutely fucking useless in terms of cooking. I can cut that a wee bit thinner, and then what you can do is just give it a wee rough chop as well. So that's just the garlic clove for starting off with, and gives it a wee good bit of flavour to the Kung Pao chicken. So folks, on the garlic, and as you can see, I've now changed t-shirts. Simply because yours truly here would have fixed the camera a wee bit, so hopefully you can see part of me, and more importantly the cooking. But you can see I spilled juice over myself, for, well, water. But what I have done, I've replaced the t-shirt. I've also replaced the juice, as you can see. The old Whitebeard with long hair, a bit like Jesus, or an older version that was able to change the water into beer rather than wine. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'll be able to have a wee quiet night tonight, because my sweet darling wife has up and left me. She's away over to England, dear sister. She hasn't up and left me permanently, but I hope not anyway. I couldn't blame her. But she's away over to England until we got her sister's kid get away for a wee break. And Charlie, my stepson, he's down in Amy's house because he goes to TAC tomorrow. And rather than get me up at the fucking streak of dawn to give him a lift to the bus stop, he has kindly decided to stay in with Amy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some ginger to this as well. Now, I'm just going to take, there's rough edges, a rough root at the bottom of that. I'm going to peel this, but normally what you can do, and I like doing it, is using a teaspoon, because you get quite a lot of the skin and off, or the hard exterior outside, without cutting the bejesus and leaving virtually no ginger. But just to make it easy for yourselves and for myself, and you don't necessarily have to put ginger into this Kung Pao. Just I like a wee bit of ginger, and it is a very Chinese thing. I mean, your kind of 3 things would be, 2 of the 3 would be your ginger. You can see there maybe the garlic. It doesn't need to be too finely chopped, but chop it as fine as you can. You see me earlier. I'm doing the same again here with the ginger, just slicing it very roughly, you know, turn it round, giving it another wee bit of a chop, and just chopping up, not too fine, maybe just run your knife through it. I have other different knives, but like this wee serrated one for doing vegetables, particularly like ginger and garlic. So as you can see, got this extra piece, so I'm going to shove it in. Hopefully it don't take too much of the taste away. But once you fry it out, it's very aromatic anyhow with the whole chicken. What I have done, I've boiled a kettle of water, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, I have some dried chilies here. I'm only cooking for myself, although I'm using 2 chicken breasts because I'm a greedy bastard. So I'm going to get a cup of water and put about 6 or 7 of these dried chilies in and let them soak while I'm doing all the rest of this stuff here for about maybe 10, 15 minutes. I'm using one of the Better Halves cups, so this part of the video, it's with my fucking editing, so I was going to say I can edit it, so I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wouldn't call that 5, that's just Chillies, call that 6, 7, 8, I'm going to go for 9. They're not overly big, these dried chilies that I have. It depends, put in less if you want, you know, because there are seeds in these, so when it steeps, it's going, and you know, you let them steep and you use them, it can be a bit on the spicy side. So, you know, cut it down, put less chilies in if you're not a overly great chili fan. You will need some chili at this stage, to be perfectly honest. If I was using two good sized chicken breasts, I'll show you those shortly, I would probably use just store-bought, the likes of Tesco's or Asda. I mean, I don't have any Asian stores about me where I live. I do go down to one in Belfast, and I bought really good chilies down there. And what I did do with the whole bundle of chilies that I bought, I actually cut them up sliced them into, if you can see the pieces, the size of them, I don't know. And then I froze them. And it's a handy way. It cuts down some of the cutting. If you want to thaw them out and maybe scrape some of the seeds out, if you want to scrape some seeds out and do that before you chop them into slivers, before you freeze them, do that as well. There's probably about maybe three good sized chilies. You can put bird's eye chilies in this, but as you know, Thai bird's eye chilies they're quite spicy. They're either like tiny wee things. They're like leprechaun or wee person's chilies. But Jesus, they will blow the head off you. First time Charlie ever tried, well, he decided to bite into one, he put the whole thing in his mouth. He fucked me, pardon my language. He spent half an hour throwing up in the toilet and he was near zonked out. So that's just a wee tip that you can do with a whole load of chilies. Green pepper isn't a pepper, so to speak, a bell pepper or a capsicum, depends where you live. I am going to use, this is quite a small one, so I'm just going to take some, there's more seeds in this than the mandarin. I'm going to slice it thinly. I'm probably going to use about half of that. There's ways of, again, doing this. You know, you can cut down and round the sides. It just seems when you get rid of that pithy type thickness and some of the seeds, and there's different ways of doing it. I could show you this one. I would do it like this, but just an awful lot of seeds. So I've just got rid of those. So that's what I'm going to do with that. So I'm going to use, again, probably about the same amount of a red pepper, maybe a slightly wee bit more. You can kind of pick as if you're cutting round like an orange, imagine, you know. You can even do it the whole way round, like this I'm not going to, and just let your knife do the work and turn it round as you cut. So putting that over to the side, that will be used for another meal. Again, cut it into thin strips, like so. Okay. Get rid of that wee white bit there. It's alright that, you know, it's not going to do you any harm. I mean, if you wanted, as I say, you were cutting chilies, you would maybe want to take that wee membrane out along with the seeds. If you're doing your chilies more or less fresh and you're doing them whole, and that will cut down on some of the spice. Use less chilies again here. It's just hot mouth here. And as I say, a wonderful Irish ale. It's called Smilligs, and by buckets like buttermilk, it's lovely. It goes down. I've had it out in the fridge for a wee while. It would freeze you in this place now at the moment. The weather's turning Baltic, as we would say. Baltic meaning it would freeze the balls of a brass monkey. This would probably be enough, even half this onion. Again, I like my onion. I'd probably cook it a wee bit longer. Not have it again. Finger up the night. This is where the white, actually the taste, Better Half. I'm just giving me a kiss. I was like kissing an onion. I was just getting some, this is called different things again, different places. I think in America it's called green onion, called spring onion in some places. Here we call it two things. The old Irish favourite, scallion. Scallion, yes, scallion. I'm just going to run this ever so slightly just underneath the water tap. This will go in there for me. You can use the green parts or the whiter parts if you want. I'm going to take the roots off. Okay, get those out of the road. You can use the white parts to put into the main stir fry. You can keep the greener parts for sprinkling along the top. I'm not going to be all fancy chefy, so I am going to fuck it all in together. But if you want to, it is nice to have a wee bit of green at the garnish near at the end without it being cooked to death. So that's that in here. I have in this wee jar is Szechuan peppercorns. They're whole. I'm going to put them into my pestle, my broken top mortar. Here's the other bit of it. I need a bit of glue. I keep on forgetting to do it. So I'm going to put about probably a teaspoon of this and grind it. Okay, so roughly that would be probably just around about a teaspoon and a half. And Szechuan peppercorns aren't spicy. They're very tingly on the tongue. Okay, so this is a way to get a bit of anger out. You know, for straight a day at the office, which I do, I work now 4 days a week rather than 5. The 4 days are still stressful. Somebody's got on your wick, or somebody in the house has got on your wick, and when you want to beat somebody, maybe with a claw hammer, just imagine this is their face without any balance, and it means also you don't end up in prison. Great! So there you go, tension away. So that's it. Give it a wee bit of a grind round then after I've bashed it. You know, don't mind if there's a wee bit of coarseness in it. So that's that part done. Right, folks, so I've just got the chicken out here. I've diced one of the chicken breasts, 2 of them. They are a wee bit on the thick side, so I'm just kind of butterflying it and weighing the chicken out. I can hit it, you know, batter it down a wee bit. I don't want it too thin. Let's say these are kind of bite-sized pieces that I'm trying to cut it into. I'm just slicing it maybe lengthways, maybe about 1.5 to 2 centimeters, and then from there cutting it just into bite-sized pieces really. You know, there's ones maybe a wee bit big. Kind of try and keep them all the same. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the chicken into a bowl. Bowl might be big enough. It's like a cereal bowl. Watch down, I hope. Yes. Can put soap on it anyway, just to make sure. I'll give a wipe. To want to taste the good old washing up liquid. So I'm going to put this into the bowl, and then what I'm going to do is just add a wee bit of marinade here to it. I think I can get rid of this. The other thing that I have to do yet is the dry chilies that I showed you earlier. They are soaked. So out comes my sporty little knife. What I will call my spices is, I'm going to, you know, as I say, is the garlic, the chili, red chili that I showed you earlier. Also now I'm going to bring out the those 7 or 8, whatever it was, red chilies that I have. You'll see just at the top of some of them, there's like a wee bit, don't want that in, doesn't harm. I'm going to cut that off, dump it. I'm going to put these in if they're small, about that size, or if you wish, you can cut them in half. And really, I suppose, not overly spicy. You know, you've soaked them, they're more like a smoky taste. So I will cut them up, you know, okay. Some will be, maybe leave a few whole just for chefy purposes. You know, the way the chefs like to show you. Yes, the hairs down, that one definitely would be cut. Just for a wee bit of authentic Kung Pao. Certainly not leave that one whole. That's pretty big. As you can see, you can squeeze the water out of them. By the way, if you do want to maybe add a wee bit of water to the sauce, if you think it's maybe too thick, I'll show you the sauce very shortly. Keep that water and use it, because it will have a bit of flavour in it for sure. So keep the water. Maybe you can't see it in here, and obviously a red cup and water is kind of bit ready. Not very clever of me to show you that, but hey ho. So that's kind of my spices, my spice mix, along with the Szechuan peppercorns. I don't want to add these. I'm just going to throw them on top of it, but the board has a wee bit of water on it, so I don't want to do that. I want to rid it. Actually, in fact, you can make this up in a bowl and then put the chicken into it. I'm going to put it on top of the chicken. It's entirely up to you. There's a little bit of cornstarch, and what I'm going to say is keep the cornstarch, whatever, keep it to the last. Don't put it in now. Okay, folks, this is an old vodka bomb, right? But it's not vodka we're putting into it. Oh, it's a pity. Anyway, no, what this is sparkling rice wine. So what I'm going to do is, probably, you don't have to, and this isn't in the recipes that I have looked at, I just like it. I think it gives a wee. You can maybe use rice vinegar, just over a teaspoon and a half. That's all we're looking. Okay. And what we're looking then is soy sauce. Again, I'm going to eyeball this. What you're looking is probably about a tablespoon. Okay. And that's all we're looking. Just to give it that wee bit of darkness to it. I'm going to put in a tiny smidgen, like half a teaspoon, probably 3/4 of a teaspoon of dark soy sauce. I'm going to say then sesame oil. If you can get the proper sesame oil, full sesame oil, great. That's fantastic. It's quite expensive. I just the last time round bought the blended sesame oil, so I'm going to use this up. I have the sesame oil, the pure sesame oil. Really, I don't find that much of a difference. You know, cooks will tell you there probably is. So again, maybe about a teaspoon kind of it. So, you know, roughly, again, I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to say probably that's about a teaspoon. Hopefully I've remembered all this marinade. What I now have is, I picked up the wrong spice. Aren't I lucky? I picked up garam masala. Fucking hell, do not use it. This Chinese fried spice, lovely. Love the smell of it, but it can be very overpowering. All you're looking for is basically, and I am going to use a teaspoon of this, I don't want to eyeball this. I like the flavour of it, but I think maybe just about, if you can see, maybe about half a teaspoon, less even, just a pinch even. I'm putting in probably just under half a teaspoon, okay? And again, it depends up to your taste. What I like, again, it's not in this is kind of part of my own marinade for this, is white pepper. I'm not going to use a lot. I'm going to really just give it a pinch, okay, of white pepper. That is it. I'm going to get the cornflour over. What I'm going to now put in, before I put the cornflour in, is you can use white sugar. So you can put in a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons. I just have palm sugar here, which is used quite frequently in Thai dishes. I know this is kind of like, obviously Chinese. I have a load of it. It's quite hard to break up. This is kind of, but it's nice. It gives like a caramel effect, taste. I'm going to put in probably about a teaspoon and a half. You know, and if you want to take that spice out, well, not really take it out, but kind of subdue it a tiny wee bit, maybe that's so. I'm putting in just over a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half of the palm sugar. White sugar will do, brown sugar, whatever you've got your hands on. And now I'm going to get some cornflour. I'm only going to use about just over half a teaspoon for this amount of chicken. You can probably use maybe even a wee bit less. It's only to give it a bit of a sheen to the chicken. It really works well. Sometimes I blow this around myself, and I think only the good lady knows. Somebody thinks I'm fucking heroin, sniffing, snorting cocaine. I don't do either of those things, by the way. Not good. Stay away from that crap. Each their own. So the rock sugar is a wee bit, this palm sugar is a bit hard, so maybe white sugar might be better. But mix this all in. People use a spoon. My hands are clean. They haven't been anywhere, and where they shouldn't have been, if you get my drift. And I'm just going to break that up and massage that through just for a minute or two. Make sure that it's well incorporated. So that's kind of the chicken marinating. I could have done this earlier. It's entirely up to you. You only need maybe probably 10-15 minutes if even that. And again, you can just fine tune your own taste a wee bit if you wish. Okay, so that's kind of mixed up, and that sugar too will probably dissolve maybe as well a bit now. You can feel it getting a bit softer, and that's because it's mixed with the Chillies rice wine that I have used. Again, you don't have to use that. Again, it's optional. You know, you can use rice wine vinegar, or even a little bit of maybe distilled ordinary plain white vinegar. You know, not a lot. Don't kill it, don't make it too vinegary. That's not overly vinegary. I just think it's a nice flavour. So there we are. So I'm now going to wash my hands because, look, I will say, you know, always make sure you see me cutting chicken before you touch anything else. You know, if you've been handling raw chicken, goodness gracious, get your hands in under the top, give them a bit of a rinse, and dry them off. Okay, because you know you don't want to be any food poisoning. So now I'm going to make the sauce for this. Okay, I've done it again, a little bit of sugar, I know, I had in my pestle and mortar, if you remember, bashed up the peppercorns. What I'm going to do is, I've got another bowl here. I'm going to take what's called my spice mix, which is all my chilies. That's the dried, the red chilies that I had chopped and taken out of the freezer that I told you, a little method to do, you know, which is probably roughly about 3 ordinary chilies. There's about 8 relatively small dried chilies. Don't do what I'm just after doing there, and throw the freaking garlic and ginger onto your worktop. Put it into the bowl. Then take your Szechuan peppercorn. Okay. And what you can do, if you like, and I wouldn't call it a spice, but I'm just going to do this for something slightly different. The white part, as much as possible, of the green onion. I'm just going to add in there as well. Okay. Give that a wee one down. Doesn't need to be with a spoon, doesn't need to be with a knife, you know, or whatever utensils you get. So that's your little spice mix. So I'm going to see if this will fit into my pestle and mortar. Because if it does, then I can make my sauce in this bowl. So hold on, here we go. It's called cutting down on frickin' washing up. God, don't you just hate the bloody thing? So I've got most of this out. I'm not going to worry too much. There's 1 or 2 crumbs left. So that's all that's my spice mix. Stuck my pestle and mortar. Should be left like Szechuan peppercorns there. Now for the sauce mix, and really what this is roughly a tablespoon of soy sauce. So that I'm gauging again in my bowl if you want to measure this out. Maybe just to accentuate the flavour a wee bit, give that bit of caramelisation, slightly darker colour. About 3/4 of a tablespoon of dark soy. So maybe add another wee bit of light soy. Okay. I'm going to add a tiny bit of sesame oil. Again, not in it, but I just like that nutty flavour. Just a little tad. Hoi Sin sauce out of a jar. I have to say, folks, for those in the UK, you know, for buying the bought stuff, I mean, if you can get to an Asian supermarket, you will find that this is a lot cheaper. Buying it from there, this is a good brand, and yes, this is you know. But even at that, compared to some of the supermarkets, you know, and you have some of these brands, which I'm going to remain nameless, well-known ones in the UK. Excuse me, I have licked my finger again. I will wash it, so there's no complaints. Look, finger, little dinky. Here, the water. I have rubbed my little dinky. So, roughly about a tablespoon of soy sauce. I'm just going to add maybe tablespoon and a half. I like soy sauce, that's me. Again, your own preference in terms of flavour. Again, it says rice wine vinegar. I have rice wine vinegar. I'm just going to add another drop of Chillies rice wine. Maybe about a tablespoon, 3/4 of a tablespoon of it. Don't overpower it this time. Now, you can add in tomato paste. And there is all different connotations of what tomato paste is. Some people call it tomato paste, they call it the same thing, tomato puree, which we have. Maybe something like masala. What I'm going to use for this, okay, and I'll give it a wee bit of sweetness, a little bit of acidity too. I'm going to use good old frickin' ketchup. So a tablespoon, you know, and this is probably only for as much as eggs. So there we are, a tablespoon, a good squirt, in other words. And yes, folks, I have poured my second beer. And I'm going to send this video tonight to my wife, even though she's going to be busy with her sister and busy looking after the kids. So next thing that you add in, it will give that little bit of sweetness, help maybe take some of the spice out, is sugar. I had said before I had used this palm sugar, so I'm going to continue with this thing, but by all means, folks, use a couple of teaspoons of this. Right, by all means, use white sugar, brown sugar, whatever sort of sugar you have in the cupboard. Look, if you want to use some of the sweeteners, it's entirely up to you. Whatever floats your boat, as I would say. So, and we will get better with this fucking camera work. I have to be honest. You know, it's me. I mean, I have about, you know. I mean, I can't hammer a nail into the wall. I believe I'm going to what would be called here in Northern Ireland grammar school. It's more academic than what would be a secondary school or a comprehensive school in the UK. I haven't a clue about the United States. or strangeness, or I cannot comment. So I blame it on that. That's a lot of bollocks, obviously. One of my friends were handy, and they all went to good at stuff around crap. I'm a pen pusher. Yeah, I'm not really game. Don't start. Okay, I gotta. It's home cooking this, folks, by the way. You know, I'm not working in the fucking kitchen. If I was working in a professional kitchen, I would be risking that much for doing this. I would be out the door. I might add just a tiny bit of tomato puree, just to keep everybody happy. So a squirt, small squirt, small squirt. The other thing is as well that I have over here, in a jug, and I took the jug out, not being chefy. Would you believe 50 to 75 mil? So I put in about 80 mils to 100 mils of chicken stock, which will go into this. You know, and I wish the heck I had done this in the jug. Put it into the jug because it's a big jug and this is a small bowl, and the bowl's half full and the jug is only a tiny bit into it. So maybe that's what we will do. Again, home cooking, you learn. So it's not, you know, that brand chicken stock, you know, that wonderful fucking cheap chicken cube. So we'll scrape that in, scrape this all into that. It'll be easier to mix, I think, wouldn't it? I'm glad you all agreed. Look, well, I've got most of it out. And what I'm going to say is, if you find that you maybe want to make your sauce that little bit saucier, so you can maybe double up on your quantities, suit it to your taste too. But try and keep it as much to the recipe that I've given, or as you can. And I'll mention again, I'll refer back to the chilies. You know, cut down on those if you wish, add more if you wish. It's entirely up to you. White sugar, as I say, for this. This is what they actually use, where I kind of influenced this recipe, the school of walk. I said walk, W-O-K, walk, not W-A-L-K, walk. Okay, so that's my sauces. What I now am going to do, I'm going to carry you over and show you my shit machine of a wok burner. This fucking thing is like, it's like a jet engine, you know, it's like, whoo! I'll show you my wok, which is, you know, you see the people flipping. Well, I have to be honest, this thing is as fucking big as my body. So it's a massive big carbon steel wok. It's becoming seasoned beautifully the more I use it. And like, I get thirstier as I go along. Okay, let's go. Right, so this is my wok burner, okay? And I have it set up. It's portable, so I can use it inside and outside. So I'm just going to turn it on, turn it off. So, you know, and when I put my wok on it, right? You know, it dispenses. Isn't it great? So I'm going to turn it off. Look at the size of this thing. I think it's like 18 inches? It's the only thing I have about it, it's a short handle. So, you know, people like, you know, they flip. And when you put food, you know, I can barely do that. I need to use 2 hands. I keep my wok seasoned. You can maybe see the speckles of oil. Okay, we're going to get cracking. The other thing I have here, and I have the cheek to use this, I know it's a Chinese dish. I bought a big tub of this. I add like a teaspoon of this in, a teaspoon. And then this is an excuse for drinking beer. Gochujang green chili paste. I mean, this I thought was not spicy. I found out later words when I tried to get translation. And then I found it on a thing, you get medium and hot. Of course, I buy the hot. I mean, I nearly burnt the face of people the other week. They couldn't eat my meal in here. So I'll probably keep some of this, and when I make them a dinner next week, I will be able to have this again. Now to get all the stuff over, to get ready cooking, because I'm really hungry. Okay folks, so now for time to give the wok a little blast. So my wok is well seasoned. What I want to do now, turn the wok on. Okay. What I want to do is get a bit of smoke going. The wok's smoking. Okay. So, right, so I don't know whether you can see that or not, but that's it smoking. So now add in probably about a couple of tablespoons of oil. Okay. Just going to put that out of the road over here for the time being. And first thing that's going to go in is my red and green peppers and my onion. Going to turn this down now. So one thing to boil. Just give that. I don't know whether you can see this, but I mean, holy shit, look at the heat in this thing. You know, and that's it, you know, near low. As you can see, I've near emptied my second beer. I'm almost tempted to have a third one, but I won't. Just try this for a few moments. Maybe about 2 minutes. And I hope I am doing Asian people and people from Chinese extraction proud. I'm doing my best. As I say, I get my inspiration from, would have been, my goodness gracious, many moons ago, like the Ken Hom, subscribe to the School of Wok channel. Jet Lee is another chef that I would look at from Korean background. Hot Thai Kitchen, Colleen's Kitchen, I don't know if I pronounced that right. I could live in all this. I mean, as I said before, you know, the staple diet in Ireland, the lead and meat potatoes. Well, certainly it is not mine. I love my shepherd's pie. I love my Irish stew. But Jesus, give me this sort of stuff anytime. Like now, I'm paying for the chicken, even along with the marinade. So I'm going to try and put everything over to the side here, okay? When I put this in, and what I want to do is spread the chicken out a little bit, as flat as possible, trying to give it a wee bit of a sear without burning the vegetables. So I'm going to put it like this. Sorry folks, but you can see the way, hopefully I have my wok. I know the steam is coming out of it, but you know, I kind of got the vegetables, try to push them as much to the side so they don't burn, particularly the garlic. And try to put the chicken in the center. So I'm going to leave the chicken just to try to get that little bit of colour underneath, maybe for a few minutes. Okay, so I want the chicken to stick, so what I'm going to do is now start bringing the vegetables over. There's a bit of a turn that heat down a wee bit so I can see. You know, and you see these little black bits on the chicken. I mean, that is just the marinade, so I mean, it's not burning. Okay? You know, so no worries about that. Look at this, liquid gold, this is liquid fucking gold. See? I'm not the pour a pint of any deal. Right, so I'm just going to turn the wok up a wee bit. Don't things to burn or stick. What I'm going to do is just a tiny taste of that chili water I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to dribble. Just so, get a wee little bits of it, maybe sticking to the bottom of the wok. There's always like a thing, but then turn it up a little bit more. Because I'm going to get the chicken. Now that I'm packing it, I can stir things. And this is the thing. You know, and I know this is really good because it gets what they call wok head, which is kind of like the flavour of the wok into your cooking. So, you know, it's one flip forward and one flip back. One flip forward and one flip back. One flip forward and one flip back. I need two hands. Have you seen the fucking size of this thing? I told you, it is like a flying saucer, honestly. I think that's enough. Next thing, put this to the side again, as much as possible. And add a small taste of oil into the centre of the wok, not too much. This is just good old vegetable oil. So here's my spice mix, my seschuan peppercorns, my different types of chilies, my garlic and my ginger, and a tiny little bit of spring onion. Give it a bit of a whirl around. Turn the wok down a tiny bit. I can add a wee small taste of the chili water. There's no harm. I mean, as literally as I'm pouring it in, this baby is evaporating. And wow, oh, smell this. Oh my god, these chilies. Wow, this is great. So here we are. One click forward, click back. And it doesn't need to be, you're not causing fucking pancake here. And as I said, the shortcoming of this particular wok, it's not the brand, it's just the handle. It's very, very small. It's a carbonized steel wok. They're not overly expensive. I recommend getting one. You know, even if you have the fat flat bottom one, by all means, if you can get them, you'll go for it. I just been lucky. My wifey, my little darling, bought me this wok burner. Okay, folks, this is near fucking cooked. I mean, you know, things take no time at all in this. I know everybody doesn't have one of these. If you have a gas cooker, well, you really are in heaven. I would murder you in a nice way to have your gas cooker. By the way, if you're riding a wok and you have a really good range gas cooker, don't forget Whitebeard's channel. Please donate. Remember me in your will, or Uncle Trev, or fucking whatever you want to call me. That's smelling great. Wow, give the sauce a bit of a stir. Get this in, and literally 2 minutes. It's high pressure, get it all in. I mean, every single wonderful goodness drop. What I did do, folks, I added in another 1.5 teaspoons of Chinese spice. So probably in that now, there's probably about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Add another wee tiny taste of the chili water, just to thin it out a little bit. Get that, look, I mean, look at that, it's amazing. I mean, really, You know, the smell of this, if it tastes as good as it smells, I got that right. It's going to be awesome, absolutely awesome. Not what my wife, what Pamela would eat, or Charlie, my stepson, might be too spicy. It may not be. Those dry chilies are not overly spicy. Yeah, if I had added bird's eye chilies in here instead of the normal chilies that I had, say, already chopped and frozen, probably. Bird's eye chilies are spicy. I'm trying to grow my own chilies. Right, guys, I'm going to turn this off because this thing will continue to cook. Go check the noodles and hopefully they'll be ready. Before I go and check the noodles, let me see, a swig of the old beer. I'm going to get this. Right, folks, now for the last little bit. So I've got the wok back on. And I'm going to turn it down a wee bit. The sauce is slightly thickened a wee bit. I just like it a wee bit more saucy, so just add a bit more of that water in. My noodles are out. Put a couple of handfuls in of cashew nut. I'll see these babies later. Just take this through. Give it a good stir. There you go. This is ready to rock and roll and serve onto a plate. So here we are, folks. This is it on a plate. All being well. There we are. I hope you all can see that. I'm going to take one tiny little bite. See what it's like. I didn't add in the Korean gochujang chili paste because I did taste it and I thought it was just nice and spicy, and it's not overly spicy. I'm quite surprised. But as I said, the dried chilies are smoky, so I'm going to have a little taste. Put it in my mouth. I have a mouth like asbestos. Oh, just a nice kick. And being honest, I think my better half, honestly. Will we eat this? I don't know. We'll try it. If they don't like it, they can fucking have cornflakes. Folks, see you the next time. Whitebeard is signing out. Beer. Kung Pao Chicken with noodles this time. You can have it with boiled rice, fried rice. Different sorts of noodles. These are chow mein noodles. I don't give a fuck. I'm hungry. Rock on, folks. See you the next time on Whitebeard channel, and have a good weekend if I don't see you before then.